Hi, welcome back. As you go through the course, you need to have a database to work on it, because the best way to learn is by doing. So I strongly recommend you to do all the examples with me. Normally, I could show you one standard way to have a database like in the other courses. But I wanted to offer you some alternative options that how professionals work with in a real work. So we have 3 options for you to have a database. You need to choose one of them and do your practices on it. But notice that it will be enough to have only one of them. All the databases in them are pretty the same with small differences. But any of them will be enough for you to run your queries. So these options are having the database with the VirtualBox option, having the database by installing into your computer, and using Oracle LiveSQL on internet. How to do all these are explained very detailed in the related videos. But now I will simply mention about them to guide you for which one to choose. The first one is having the database with the VirtualBox option. I created this option for the students who want to have the database and SQL Developer easily, because installing the database is not so easy and hard to uninstall. So this option has an up and running database and SQL Developer in it with all the configurations. It has 2 files to download. You need to download the Oracle VirtualBox software and the virtual image that we prepared for you. You will first install the VirtualBox and then import the virtual image into that. That's all. With this way, you will have a completely running database and a pre-configured SQL Developer software. It is really easy to set up, so you can choose this option confidently. You can select this option if you don't want to set up the database by yourself, because VirtualBox option is much easier. Or if you have a limited internet access, you can select this option. Or if you are using macOS, you can select this option, because Oracle database does not run on macOS. But with this way, you can run that database in your computer. Alright, here are the requirements and the features of this option. The required free disk space is 17 GB. The running operating systems are Windows, Linux, and macOS. And the database configurations are not required for this option. And also SQL Developer configurations are not required too. And you need to have a high performance computer for this option, because you are running another operating system in your operating system with the VirtualBox. And included database version is 11G and 12C. We have 2 options. You can select 11G option or 12C options. You can select one of them. The required downloads are Oracle VirtualBox and Virtual Image. You need to have the internet access only when downloading the VirtualBox and Virtual Image. After that, you don't have to connect to the internet. So let's pass to the second option. The second option for having the database is having it by installing the database directly into your computer. You need to install the database and do the setup by yourself. And you need to create the database connection of SQL Developer. With this option, you will be able to use the advantages of SQL Developer. Besides, you don't need to have a powerful computer for this option. This option is the hardest one to set up among the 3 options. But I want you to notice that you are installing a database, not a simple application. The companies are using the same database with that, so it is normal to be hard. Actually, for the people who are interested in using a computer, it is not so hard. Especially when you watch the related video in this course, you will see that all the steps are explained very detailed and step by step. But if you have any problems anyway, you can immediately reach to us on the discussion board. We will gladly assist you. So, if you want to use the ease of SQL Developer, and if you want the database to be installed into your computer, you can select this option. Or if you have some problems with the VirtualBox option, you can use this option too. Or if you have a limited internet access, you can use this option. On the other hand, even if you use the VirtualBox option with 11G, you will be able to follow the course almost 99%. So it's up to you. Here are the requirements and the features of this option. The required free disk space is about 10 GB. The running operating systems are Windows and Linux. And the database configurations are required for this option. Also, you need to configure the SQL developer for this option too. And you don't have to have a high performance computer for this option. And the database version for this option is 12c. The required downloads are the Oracle database. And the internet access is needed only when you download the database. So the third option is using Oracle Live SQL. This is the easiest option. With this option, you don't need to download or install anything because it works on the internet and you can easily sign up and start using the latest version of Oracle database. But with this option, since you will not be able to use the SQL developer, you will not be able to use its simplicity. In the professional work, we generally use a tool like that. But your codes will work without any problems with this option too. So, if you have some problems with the two previous options, you can use this Live SQL option. Or if you don't want to do any installation and just want to run the queries, you can use this option too. Or if you want to use the latest version of the Oracle database, you can use this option too. Or if you are using Mac OS and don't want to set up the VirtualBox, you can also select this option. So here are the requirements and the features of this option. The required free disk space is none, because you are using it on the internet. The operating systems are all. And it does not need any database and SQL developer configurations. And the computer performance need is low. And the database version is 12c and 18c or above. The required downloads are none, and the internet access is required because you are using it on the internet. So which one you should choose? Actually, I tried to explain before, but it is totally up to you. These tables include all they need in detail. You need to select one of them based on your resources or wishes. But I need to warn you again. You need to select only one of them. There is no need to use many options. There is one last thing. There are 2 more lectures about configuring the SQL developer and unlocking the HR user. If you install the database directly into your computer, if you select the second option, you need to do what I showed to you in these lectures. But if you selected the other options, you don't need to do that. You can skip these lectures because the first option has already configured the database for you and the last one does not have the SQL developer tool. Alright, in this lecture, I tried to guide you which option to choose for having the database in details. Because a few of my students confused about which one to choose sometimes. Or sometimes I got some questions about do I need to install all the options? So I needed to create that lecture. But be careful that which one to choose is totally up to you. But you need to select only one option. But if you have a problem with one, be sure that it is not about the complexity of explanations. You are trying to install a database which is the same as how Fortune companies are currently using. So it is normal to need some effort. You may have some problems based on the configurations of your computer or insufficient resources or maybe doing something wrong. But don't worry. If you have any problems with any of these options, you can directly pass to the other option and try that way. Any options will satisfy you for the course. But if you have problems at all, you can confidently write your problems into the discussion board. We will gladly answer to your questions as soon as possible. We can easily solve your problems together. Great! How to do all these options are explained very detailed in the related lectures. So now it's your turn to select one option and set up your database environment. So this is the end of this lecture. See you in the next lectures.